Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new to this channel, my name is Lucero. I make YouTube videos about self-improvement and just in general the college student life. And in this week's video, I will be sharing with you the reasons why you should start living a mindful life this 2025. So without anything else left to say, let's get this video started. Let's begin by talking about how and why I got into mindfulness. At the beginning of my college career, which was maybe like 3 months ago, I was struggling a lot. A lot of things had been happening in my life that just made me lose complete control and balance of who I was and of myself in general. And I felt very, very ashamed because I wanted to start this new chapter as the best version of myself, but I felt like I was the complete opposite. And there was this urge inside of me to find a solution that seemed more permanent, something that would make an actual tangible change that would stay with me for a long time. And someone recommended that I try out mindfulness. So I did some research and I found out that my school actually had a free mindfulness class. It was not graded, it was just kind of like you show up and they teach you how to be more mindful and how to meditate, and it was aimed towards bettering the students' mental health, which I thought was super important. So I decided to make good use of my tuition and I signed up for the class. It was literally only 4 classes once a week, and it changed my entire perspective. And now finishing my first semester of college, I can truly say that I feel like I've seen a drastic evolution in the person that I am thanks to this classes and thanks to the things that I learned. Which takes me to my second point. This book, The Mindful 20-Something by Holly B. Rogers. It's basically a guide for college students or young adults, and they're trying to get into their mindfulness journey and just in general living a mindful life. But now let's dig into the things that I took away from the book. This is my personal opinion from my personal journey, and of course it will probably evolve and change with time, and your own personal journey is going to be personal and individual to you. So that's why I recommend you purchase the book. This is not a sponsor. I'm not getting a singular penny from this. The book opens up talking about your life and how most of the time you're living a life that you're not truly enjoying in the moment. And it's a really weird concept. A lot of us college students can relate, but we're always thinking about the future or reminiscing about the past, but never really living the now. A really clear example is you go into high school and you're always worrying about college. You always think of college, and then you get to college and you look back and you're like, wait, maybe I should have enjoyed high school a little bit more. Maybe things were just not that bad. And then you get there and you're rushing to start your career and to do more and to do more. And the whole point that this book is trying to make, and mindfulness in general, is that we're never truly living the moment that we have right now, which is exactly this exact second. And if you really think about it, and it might be too philosophical, but yeah, that's true. The only thing that you truly have is this exact moment, and it just passes by, and life just keeps moving. And I mean, this is really pessimistic, but you could die in 5 minutes, and then all the plans that you had for the future, gone, poof, past, it's all in the past. So the point of this is to wake up and start experiencing and fully inhabiting the present moment. This book talks a lot about meditation and how it teaches you about appreciating every single second about the present, because there's millions and thousands of miracles happening in the present moment that you're not even aware of. And it's just kind of this spiral of negative thought patterns that make you be unhappy and never truly being aware of the reality of this moment. This book talks a lot about the body, for example, and how there's multiple ways that your organism is working, and it's just a miracle the way the human body works, and it's working every single second, and you don't even realize it because you're too busy thinking of the mistakes that you made yesterday or how things could go wrong in the future, and you're not taking a second to appreciate the miracles that are happening right now, like your heart beating, because it just happens to be beating and you don't do anything to make it beat. It just keeps you alive, but you don't even realize it. And the point that the author makes in the book is all the things and all the miracles that we should be thankful for and that should make us happy and truly live in a constant state of awe, and we just disregard. And I truly found that very inspirational, especially starting my first semester, because how I mentioned, I feel like we're always running and running and running and trying to get to the next place, but without really a true clear goal of where we have to be, you know? It's like, oh, I want to go to college, and now that I'm in college, I'm like, oh, I want to get my first job, and then I don't know if I could get my first job what I'm gonna want, and I'm always going to be in the state of want and never taking a second to just appreciate and live and look at who I am in this moment, because that is my only truth and my only reality right now. Now, my second point or biggest takeaway from this book and from my mindfulness journey so far is that we need to be curious and non-judgmental, which I really love the concept, especially because if you don't know, I am really into law and social advocacy, and a lot of the things that I've learned is that it's very easy to judge. And it's kind of like a natural thing. We all just have a preconceived notion and a preconceived bias on things. But it's important to be aware of those biases. And that is what mindfulness allows you to do. To be attentive of your thoughts and kind of witness them in a third person perspective, so that way you catch yourself when you're being biased or judgmental. And it teaches you to not label things as right or wrong, just as something that you might like and make you happy and something that's not. And I really also resonate a lot with that, because as I grow older, I realize that there's multiple perspectives in life, and it's very hard to put things into a black and white, yes or no type of box. It's very square-minded, when in reality life is like a rainbow. There's just a lot of gray areas that we cannot necessarily so strictly categorize as right or wrong. And that is where curiosity has to come into place, and I guess also our free will and our reasoning human brains, and that's where we have to make decisions for our own. And I've realized that a lot of the times we have preconceived notions, and also we hold on very tightly to our views, which is important, but we do not question those views. We do not question why we think what we think. We do not question why we don't like what we don't like, or why we like what we like. And that sounds very redundant, but it's important to be curious and to make questions. And the book talks a lot about being like a child. And when you're a child, and this happened to me, I would make so many questions, and my parents would get so annoyed, and they'd be like, why are you asking such nonsense? Like, stop. And I was just curious. I just wanted to know. And it might have seemed like nonsense, but to me, it was important to understand why. And now that I'm older, I'm like, wait, we should go back to those questionings, to those curiosities, to not being judgmental. Because when you're a kid, let's be real, you don't really judge that much, in the sense that you don't categorize things so wrong or right. You're just more open to questioning why those things are what they are. And we should approach the world like that. I feel like, viewing it from a political perspective, because that is my major, I think when you are curious enough to fully put yourself in others people's shoes, you are able to understand their perspective better, and then see them as a whole picture, as more human. And I just read a book, Dear America, by Jose Antonio Vargas, and he talks a lot about negative narratives that media puts out, and then we take it as a whole truth, and we forget to bring back the humanity to those stories, because we're so trapped by these narratives that are just constructed and told to us without us being curious and questioning the whole truth behind it. And how I mentioned, it's very hard to truly pinpoint it truth, because life is not so black and white, which I find to be beautiful. Okay, the sun decided to come out. The next point that I took away from the reading was how to overcome obstacles. And they touched on a really good point that I kind of was in denial about, but then I accepted, which was acceptance. And they said that the only true way to minimize a lot of the pains that we go through is to accept things. And you cannot really change a lot of things in life. And I feel like when you truly internalize the idea that we truly have mostly zero control over a lot of things in life. The world is just kind of this randomized sequence of events that we have no control over. And I think our human minds really like to control things, and that's why a lot of the times we're in denial about things that don't go the way we want them to go. And the book just says that you just have to accept it. You just have to exist in this mindset of acceptance and comprehending that a lot of the things that just have to be just are. And to me, this happens so much. I hold on to things very tightly and I want them to be the way I want them to be. And I guess in that way, I'm really stubborn like that. But I've realized that sometimes you just have to be like, it is what it is. F it. Like, truly F it. I'm sorry. I don't really like to publicly say those kind of things. But sometimes you just have to sit down and let it just be. Let it be and let it go. And that is the only way that you're truly gonna minimize your pain. And I like that. I like the idea of sometimes just accepting things. And it's hard. It really is hard. It's so easy to say and it's so hard to do. But it's a reality. And I like that message. And I think one of the last points that I want to talk on, but definitely this book has many, many more. And as I mentioned, it's a very personalized journey. So there's definitely things that might call to you that didn't call to me. So it's important to go on your own journey. But it's how to find true happiness. And the book says, or shall I say the author Holly B. Rogers mentions that happiness is truly all around, and I feel like we have this notion that we can only be happy when we're static, when something great and amazing happens, and if not, then we cannot be happy. And happiness is just like a state of so much like joy. And the book just says that happiness, sometimes it's just balance. Sometimes happiness is just being content. And I also watched a video, which I will link down below, this one, and it talked about this concept that Danish people have. I think it was Danish, I'm not sure. But one of these like super perfect countries in the north of Europe. And it talked about the idea that they're just happy all the time because they're able to understand that happiness is all around, and it's kind of how I mentioned, this state of balance. You don't have to live the best day of your life every single day. There's so much happiness in ordinary things that are just beautiful the way they are. And I feel like we forget a lot of the times how much beauty there is in ordinary things. And it sounds super cliche, and I know you might have heard this 1,000 times before, but it's true. And we disregard all those things. And going back to the point from the beginning, truly having the present moment also entails to appreciate what you have in the present moment and who you are, and the beauty that resides in that moment, and how much balance there is. You do not need to be ecstatic all the time. There's a lot of joy in ordinary life, and we forget. Lastly, I want to talk about the changes that I've actually seen in my life. And I'm telling you, I'm not selling any kind of course. I'm not getting paid for any of the things that I'm saying. I truly say this from the bottom of my heart, from the experiences that I've had. And the change has been insane. I feel like I am generally a happier person. And sounds cheesy, I know, but I have found so much love and appreciation for my life. I was the first time in a long time that I was able to just truly sit down and look back, and not in a way where I'm longing for the past or trying to live in the past, but in a way where I can look back and see how far I've come and be happy and proud for that. And I feel like sometimes we're always taught to not be proud. Sometimes you reach what you wanted, but how I mentioned, there's always something else that you can achieve, that you can get, and then you're never happy. And this was a moment for me to look back and to appreciate, to be grateful for the things that I have, the things that I've been given, the blessings that have come to my life, the effort that I've put, and it made me happy. It made me proud of who I am. And it kind of propelled me to do more, but not out of feeling insufficient, but out of all that gratefulness. And it was a different kind of fuel that was fueling me. I was also able to be more understanding and more compassionate and more like just loving in general. Also, it has helped me understand myself a little bit more and understand my motivations better, and that kind of propels you more, but how I mentioned, for the right reasons. I have been able to understand who I am, what my fears are, be more honest with yourself. And I feel like a lot of the times, very, very deep down, we have things that we know, we have things that we are not willing to even accept to ourselves, but they're there. And this has helped me a lot to be more critical about myself, and not in a bad way, but in a way that I'm able to understand myself better and my motivations, which also leads me to then maybe pursue things for the right reasons and with more courage and with more will, because finding the quintessential root cause of why I'm doing what I'm doing has helped me understand myself so much better and my life and the world around me, and just be more mindful, be more aware of the world. So without anything else left to say, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave down any comments that you have. I'm really happy to chat with you and answer all of them. Even if it's just a sweet compliment, I appreciate it so much. If you would like to stay in touch with me, also follow me on all of my social media. Subscribe on the little red button for more videos. And as always, I will see you guys next week. Bye bye. And I am kind of sad that if it just was just bad lighting, I'm gonna have to re-record the video, and I just don't have the time to re-record.